Today we're going to start our course, a very interesting course, which is about entering the IT area. What is entering the IT? Well, first of all, to be able to enter the IT, of course you have to be knowledgeable in your expertise, in your specific technical area. Well, today it's not about the technical area, it's about what everybody should know. Something that is the platform, the basis for all customer interaction. What is customer interaction? So anytime you make a phone call, a video call, anytime you send a message, anytime you have some sort of a contact with your customer, this is customer interaction. Today we're going to talk about email writing. Now, email writing, is it important? What if you don't have good email writing skills? Maybe this will not impact your career. Maybe yes. We'll talk about this right now. And to be able to have a good opinion, or probably the right opinion of what email writing is, we're going to go back to 1597. 1597. Romeo and Juliet. You guys know who wrote Romeo and Juliet, right? This person, right? William Shakespeare. And the quote from Romeo and Juliet is the following. What's in a name? What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. You understand the quote, right? It's some sort of an object. You smell it, you can call it a toilet, right? But if it's a rose, it's still a rose, nothing changes, right? So the question is, what's in a name? What does a name tell about a person or an object? Well, you can appreciate a rose without knowing the word for it, right? You can appreciate it. Smells great. You appreciate a rose without knowing the word for it. It will smell the same if you do know the word. So, whether knowing the word or not, it doesn't change the smell of the flower. Now, how does it relate to emails? You may not know the person. See? It's just an email. You don't see the person. You don't know the person. You may not know the person, but an email is a way to appreciate them at a distance. So, what's in a business email? William Shakespeare asked the question, what's in a name? My question to you is, what's in a business email? Some opinions. Existing customers' email experience should be just as good as prospective customers' experience. Let me repeat this. Existing customers' email, see, we're talking about an email, not an actual corporation, just an email. Existing customers' email experience. See, that's how the Western world thinks of emailing, an email experience. Customers' email experience should be just as good as the prospective customer's experience. All right, what about this? An email can make or break a potential opportunity for you. So send and respond to them wisely. Make or break a potential opportunity. A bad email reputation is like a hangover. You guys know what hangover is? It's when you drink too much and you wake up the next morning, your head is aching, so that's a hangover. A bad email reputation is like a hangover. Hard to get rid of, and it makes everything else hurt. So that's an email reputation. See? So what's in a business email, my friends? An experience, an opportunity, a reputation. Just an email. That's how the Western world looks at emailing. See, they talk about email opportunities, email experience, and email reputation. Hello, feel free to take a seat. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's the answer to the question. Why is it important to be good at writing emails? So the outline. Today we're going to be talking about the email etiquette, formal and informal English, sentence starters for different reasons. So there are many different reasons why you should write an email, and closing remarks. Basically, we'll talk about grammar and all other things. So, email etiquette. To make a perfect impression on anyone. Well, what are we going to be talking about? So it will be, for example, I'll say a few words about the subject line. I'll say a few words about proofreading. Well, the tone of the language, appropriate or inappropriate. Well, you guys know what bullet points are, so it's nothing special. Basically, this image shows you that email etiquette is made up of many components. It's not just one thing. It has to be something that relates to the psychology, something that relates to the linguistic side. So it's not just the psychology, not just the linguistic. It's putting everything together, the meaning and the form. Well, here's an example. We're going to start out with a practical example, something that is good, something that is worth repeating in your own emailing. So the subject of an email, ABC Company, meeting confirmation. That's just the subject of an email. We begin, Dear Mr. Jackson. If I begin, Dear Mr. Jackson, probably it's a customer. I will not say, Hi, Jack, or Hey, Jack, something like that, right? Because it's a customer, I'm paying respect. So I keep my style professional and formal. Dear Mr. Jackson, it was great to speak with you on the phone earlier. I hope those spring storms give you a break soon. What am I talking about? It's a personal note. See? First of all, the first sentence refers to a previous contact. See? This message does not come out of the blue. I refer to a previous contact. And we're going to be talking about this, making references as the initial part of any of your emails. So it was great to speak on the phone. And probably that Mr. Jackson complained about those spring storms. I remember about this. I keep this formal, but a little bit personal. So, I hope those spring storms give you a break soon. You should have received a calendar invite from me. So, there was an invitation sent through, for example, Google Calendars. You should have received a calendar invite from me for the demo we agreed upon for Tuesday, April 7th at 2 p.m. You'll also find an agenda and talking points attached below. Please let me know if you have any questions. Regards, for example, email. So, let's discuss that email. As an example, first of all, the subject line is descriptive and your greeting formal. What is the subject line? The subject line is ABC Company meeting confirmation. It's informative. It's descriptive. It's not hi. See? Sometimes we can have subject lines like hi. And that's the only thing that you see, just hi. It's not descriptive. It's not informative. It does not make you want to read the email. Just hi. Okay. The reference. Reason for the email. What is the reference? It was great to speak to you on the phone. So we're making a reference to a previous contact. It was great to speak on the phone. It's clear, and the tone is personal and friendly. What makes it personal? See, I'm talking about something that the customer has shared himself. In this case, Mr. Jackson, so himself. See, if the customer gives you some personal information, use it. Take advantage of it. See, the customer is opening sort of his soul to you. That's already good. See, the customer feels himself or herself secure about mentioning this or that. Sometimes customers can talk about their kids, maybe the weather, maybe their health. Refer to it. Don't forget about it. So keep that personal and friendly attitude. All right, your actions. Your actions are clear. You confirm and send an attachment. So here's what you're doing. You're talking about you've sent a calendar invite, right? We're talking about the demo that we agreed, right? Expected customers' actions are clear, right? You have over here, if you remember. So we're talking about the calendar invite. We're talking about meeting, and I simply confirm that yes, everything is still active. Everything is in progress. We're going to have a meeting. So and the agenda is attached, right? And you leave the door open for the customer to respond. What's an open door in the email? Where's the open door? Here's the open door. Please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk about that. So the open door. And you sign off. You guys know what sign off is? Sign off is how you finish. It's how you finish your email. So for example, over here, regards. Regards is not really formal, not really informal, somewhere in between. And some people might think, well, that's too, careless. There's no respect. Yeah, you can, for example, you can sign off sincerely, which is already formal. All right, you sign off formally, which is fitting for the stage of the sales process, right? And of course, you proofread. What is proofread? You guys know what proof? So you read, you try to understand if you've made a spelling mistake, maybe a grammar mistake, you have to proofread. Like, I would say that probably in 90% of cases, if I don't proofread, there is a mistake. And I send this email and I see, whoa, how could I make this mistake? The answer to the question is that thinking process goes ahead of the writing process. So you think you have written this word, in reality you haven't. And then you send it, and you feel yourself a little bit embarrassed afterwards. So proofreading is highly, highly important. Here's a low-quality email. The subject, hello. See the difference? So the subject here was ABC Company meeting confirmation. Here, the subject, hello. That's just the subject. Then, the greeting, hi. Here, we have Dear Mr. Jackson, if it's a customer, right? We're paying respect. Hi, great talking to you on the phone today. And then, see, there's a semicolon, which is a punctuation mistake. See? The person who wrote this message didn't pay enough attention to what? That's what people quite often put on their resumes. I'm highly attentive to detail. No, you're not. So semicolon doesn't fit in here. Can't wait. See, it's even informal instead of I. But can't wait to tell you more about how we can help your company. Something's wrong with grammar. I scheduled the demo we discussed earlier, and you can find the agenda here. Punctuation mistake. There should have been a comma here. See? This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So, simply the grammar and spelling things, and that's the first impression, my friends. The first impression. And then you give the long reference link. No, don't do this, of course. You can't do this. It's so off-putting. You know the word off-putting? Like, you don't want to look at it. So that's off-putting. And talk to you, son? What? It should have been what? Talk to you soon, of course. Talk to you soon. And I think if you say just talk to you soon or son, cheers, bye-bye, bye. It's not that style that you want to keep in your correspondence with a customer. So, the subject line, a quick analysis of this email that we can call a low-quality email. See, we're talking about the quality. And it's like the quality of a product. An email is a product. The quality of a product, right? So the subject line of this email doesn't tell the prospect as the prospective customer. So the customer on the other end of the line. The prospect, anything about the contents. So it's just hello, if you remember. So why would they open it? What's the point of opening? It was just hello, nothing else. The greeting is too casual. You guys know what casual. Casual is the opposite of formal. It's too casual. Right, so a casual greeting is like hello, but hi is already too casual. There's nothing personalized. What is personalized? If you guys remember, this is the personal note. I hope those springs start. I hope you're doing well. It's a very common way of personalizing an email. See? I hope you're doing well. Things like that. So, over here. Nothing personalized about the email itself. No meeting confirmation has been included. Sending long URLs is also an email etiquette. No. And no, it's like something that is prohibited. Don't do this. Don't do this. The sign off is casual. What is the sign off? Cheers. That's the sign off. The typos. Make it, what's the typos? Typo. That's a typo. A spelling mistake. Or talk to your son. The typos make it clear that the person writing it either has very poor grammar. See? The psychological aspect. That's the impression. In this case, this message gives you information between the lines. It's easy to read between lines in this case. And what can you read between the lines? That the typists make it clear that the person writing it either has very poor grammar or didn't take the time to read it through. And reading it through means proofreading. That's what I told you about myself. If I don't do it, if I don't proofread, like 90% of cases, there will be some typos. All right, so the etiquette. A few words, just general principles. We're not digging into the details. The details will come a little bit later. First, the platform, the common understanding that we need to build about writing emails. So the professional email messages guidelines. The subject line. It should be descriptive, meaningful, informative. For example, thank you, assistant account executive interview. thank you. So it's a letter of thanks, and then you also include some information about what you're thinking about. Now, concisely convey a purpose for writing. Oh, sorry, greeting. Dear Miss Doe in this case. So if it's a customer, dear, right? And probably if it's your fellow worker that works, like you have an international team, right? And some people work in Ukraine, some people work in the States, and you've already acquainted with each other, so you can say, hey Jack, hello, something like that. But if it's a customer, and we're talking specifically in this talk, we're talking about the customer interaction, it's of course dear, and then you have to know whether it's Mr. or Miss or Mrs., something like that. So the greeting. Now, concisely convey your purpose for writing, and we'll talk about that, how you can do it, very important. So keep it as concise as possible. It's very important. Don't be wordy. Do you know the word wordy? So if you put too many words into one sentence, if you make sentences that have, I don't know, several lines, it's difficult to read. All right. Right. Well, the fonts usually are kept professional, so without some extra colors. In very rare cases, some colors are added. Right? And of course, no emojis or emoticons. And spelling and grammar. Highly, highly important. And these are the practical aspects that we're going to be talking today. So, formal English versus informal English. If you're writing to a customer, that's the formal style. That's the formal style. So this is this left column. Well, of course, if you're writing to a friend, or maybe a colleague, a fellow worker, right? Maybe there is a certain level of informal style that you can allow yourself, to do. But in this case, if it's a customer support interaction or just customer interaction, in this case, it's the formal English. The sentences are complete. This is an incomplete sentence. An incomplete sentence, but why? Or something like that. So, subject, verb, the full sentence. Now, no contractions. Do you guys know what contraction is? I will, I'll. So, contractions are not permissible in the formal English style. So, I am. Good. So, it doesn't work should be it does not work. All right. Conjunctions. Well, right. So, for example, but, and if there are words that connect sentences, not just words that start without any connection, or sentences that start without any connection. There, like there's the word abrupt in English. It's like when you say something, and suddenly you start talking about something different, and there is no connection. The text is not coherent, so it's not good. So, of course, don't use abbreviations. That's part of the formal style. No abbreviations. All right. So the simple word ASAP is not a formal English language style. What's the formal way? As soon as possible. ASAP is already something informal. Right. Transition words, for example, however, unfortunately, words that link the sentences, and we'll talk about them. But these are just the general principles. Now, punctuation. Yes. Punctuation in the English language is different from the punctuation in the Ukrainian or Russian languages, but it's a separate subject. At the end of the presentation, I have a section called Closing Remarks, and that's where I concentrate on the spelling, on the punctuation rules a little bit more. If we have time, we can discuss it, but it's still part of this presentation, which can be read by you after we're done. So, punctuate greetings, right? So, if you know this person well, hi. If it's something, if you and the person you're writing to has, you guys have a distance between you, so maybe this is your first contact, or maybe, let's say second contact, or you want to make a professional impression, of course it's dear. All right, there's another way to whom it may concern, but sometimes it's considered too impersonal. So it's like to whom it may concern means you haven't taken the time to research who you're contacting and what position this person has. So sometimes it's considered to be too impersonal. That's up to you whether to use it or not. But it's a common expression, to whom it may concern. Sign-offs, sincerely, best regards.
Question, can I use a boss? Hello, dear Mr.
Well, usually it starts like this. Dear Mr. Jackson, then comma.
Hello,
that's it. Yeah, dear Mr. Jackson. Or hello, and then you put the exclamation mark. All right, so now let's move on to the good English part. So the practical aspects. the practical aspects. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is the difference in talking about the dates. And that's the difference between the American and the British versions of the English language. So, for example, this is the date. See? In the, if you can see, in the American version, it's March 7th. March 7th. You start with the month, then you speak about that. Why is it important? You guys understand why it's important, right? It's highly important. You need to understand, what, for example, if the customer is from Britain and there's a deadline, it's highly important to understand what this deadline means. If it's, for example, 3/7/17, or like in this case, 3/7/20. All right, so March 7th. But in the British English, we have the 7th of March, and this is the 7th of March. This is March 7th, but the American English. So here's what day? What day is this? 3/5/18. The answer to this question is where the date comes from decides what day it is. March 5th, 2018 for Americans, but May, the 3rd of May for the Brits. See? Important. Big difference. Please pay attention to this. All right. I have a question to you. Where does this customer come from if he uses these dates? America or England?
So we're still from States?
Right. The United States.
This 3rd and 4th.
So January, that's month, day. Month, day, year. The second, month, day, year. The third?
British. It's the day? So it's the
Well,
month.
no, this can't be a month. This can't be a month. So month, day, year. This one? Month, day, year. And this one? Month, day, year. These are all American dates. Okay. So let's start with the opening phrases, opening and referencing. So we've already talked about the salutation. What is a salutation? Another word for salutation is a greeting. Something less formal is hi. Hello, something neutral. Now, formal is dear, then you say the person. Right? Now, I have received your email of April 15th concerning what? So April 15th. What is it? Is it American or British?
American.
Right?
American. April.
The number and the month.
British.
The number and the month. Yes, this is the British way. So I have received your email of April 15th concerning. What are you talking about? This is your first sentence. Opening and referencing, these are your potential first sentences of an email. And what do? You explain why you're writing this email. How do you explain? You make a reference. A reference is a sort of a figurative arrow that you point to something in the past. So for example, here we're talking about an email that was sent on April 15th. And by the way, mind the grammar. I received your email on April 15th is a big difference from off April 15th. So if you say, I have received your email on April 15th, it's first of all a mistake, a grammar mistake, because you can't say, I have received and specify the exact time. This is simply against the rules of English grammar. You should say, I received your email on April 15th. But if you're talking about the date when the message was sent, it's an email off. So you describe the email. You're not talking about the date when you got it. You describe the email itself. So I have received your email off April 15th. Then there are a bunch of expressions that you can use daily. For example, your emails, they all talk about the same thing. For example, concerning, regarding, or as we have here, with regard to, regarding, concerning something. See, I'm making a reference. I can also say with reference to your email of December 12th. See, with reference to your email. I'm building a reference, and then I continue my sentence. Well, Good. I refer to your letter of March 1st regarding something. That's the first sentence. Dear Mr. Jackson, I refer to your letter of March 1st regarding this and this and this. And you don't have to say regarding all the time. There are many other expressions. Regarding, concerning, with reference to, with regard to, further. Why would you say further to my email? You say this when you have already sent an email, and a customer probably hasn't responded yet. Maybe he or she has, maybe not. So further to my email means I'm connecting this email, that's making a reference, to the one that I've already sent. I'm writing with reference to your inquiry. That's a complete sentence. Please pay attention. See? Unlike these sentences, this is a complete sentence. Full stop. I'm writing with reference to your inquiry of November 6th. Full stop. Right? I'm writing in connection. So in connection with is the same thing as regarding, concerning, with regard to. In connection with. Or you can use a perfect gerund. This is some advanced English. That's what perfect gerund is. Having seen. After having seen your advertisement, or after having watched something, after having read, see? After having plus something, and then I would like to, and you continue the sentence. But there's another way of making a reference. Probably even a better way. You can reference by thanking. So it's like killing two birds with one shot. First of all, you actually make a reference. Number two, you thank, which is already a positive impression. Already a positive impression. Thank you for your email. Oh, see? You can write, I have received your email. I refer to your email with reference to, but you can say, thank you. Thank you for your email of June 14th. Thank you for your email regarding, thank you for your email about, thank you for your email requesting. See? Requesting, that's already a participle form. It's good English grammar. Requesting something. Thank you for your email inquiring, requesting, inquiring, for synonyms. But, of course, requesting is not used with the word about in this case. It's inquiring about and requesting not with about. So, thank you for your email inquiring about. Thank you for your email inquiry. Do you see the difference? See? That's here we have a participle form. Here it's a noun. Email inquiry. The word email in this case is an adjective. Here it's a noun. Here it's an adjective. Email inquiry, query, request, query, inquiry. These words basically mean the same thing, and you need to know this. These words are formal. Formal English. Well, making inquiries, requests, queries. One of the most popular reasons to write an email is to make an inquiry, to make a request. How can you do it? I'm writing to ask if the statistics are already available. You clearly state why you're writing. So first of all, you make a reference, right? Salutation or greeting. Number two is what? Reference. You open your email with a reference. Explain why you're writing. Number two, then you speak about the specific action. So in this case, I'm writing to ask, or I'm writing to inquire. If you can supply these items, for example. I'd like to know where we can obtain further information, blah, blah, blah. Good? See? Please, could you confirm the deadline? That's another way, another reason for writing an email. Please, would you confirm when your manager will contact me? Would you confirm? And we will talk about this phrase, would you, a little bit later. Would you? That's good grammar. In addition, furthermore, see? These are those sentence starters, words that link sentences. Furthermore. That's formal English, of course. Furthermore. In addition, please, would you let me know? All right, making inquiries, requests, queries. Would you please let us have further details of? Now, I'd like to talk about would you please. It's a very nice way, formal, polite, diplomatic way of making a request. You can say, would you? For example, right now, I could say, or you could say to me, would you open the door, please? Right? Would you open the door? Very good request. Would you open the door? Of course, you can say, could you? Would you? Could you? Now, you can make it even more polite by adding what? Please. And by the way, please usually is not separated by commas. Not separated by commas. Would you please let us have further details? Very nice English. Very nice English. Could you please give us full particulars? Full particulars means full details. Now, you can also make a request and explain what? The reason for this request. And I think it's even better. It's more professional. You make the request and explain the reason why you have to make this request. How can you do this? How can you insert the request, the reason into your request? It's very easy in reality. Could you please let us know the date of delivery? And then we say as. Or we can say because, since, for the reason that, as we need the equipment urgently. See, I'm explaining the reason, and I put the word urgently, so I use as. With appreciate, if you could let us have this information soon, because, since, for the reason that, we need to make a purchase decision by the end of the month. See? What do we have here? First of all, we have the request, we have the explanation, and we even put something that refers to time. Here, it's urgently, here, by the end of the month. Everything is simple, clear, and you don't have to explain using many words. You don't have to be worried with that. We need these details now due to a problem with. Another way of explaining the reason for making the request. Informing and notifying. So there are different reasons how to inform and notify. There's general informing. There's informing bad news and informing good news. All right, the general informing. I would just like to let you know that, that's very standard, very simple. I would like to let you know that. Please know that. I would like to inform you that. And of course, you can make it formal. How can you make it formal? Simply by, first of all, choosing another grammar construction. In English language, constructions can give you the feeling of whether it's formal or informal, and of course, the words themselves. So both grammar and vocabulary. This is to inform you that. In this case, the construction of the sentence is formal, not the vocabulary. Just the construction. You can say that the word inform is formal, but it's not that informal. Now, you were informed that. That's the passive voice. That's really, really formal. You were informed that. Maybe it's even a little bit too cold for that. You were informed that. This is to inform you that. Please be informed. Please be advised. It might be a surprise to you, but the word advise does not only mean to recommend. So please be advised in formal English is please be informed that. And that's a typical construction. For example, please be informed that your account is going to be suspended for the reason of, and then you explain, maybe the customer is doing some illegal streaming or something like that. Well, good news and bad news. How can you inform good news in a formal way? Well, instead of saying, we did it, what do you say? I'm happy. I'm delighted. I'm pleased to let you know that it's good English, customer direction, formal style, right? Or instead of I am happy, I am glad, I'm delighted, we, probably talking on behalf of the team, right? Or the company. We are pleased, happy to inform you that. But you can turn the situation around. You. There's no I. There's no we. You will be glad, happy to know, to hear, to learn that. See, it's a very nice way. You will be happy to learn that we have accomplished everything we were supposed to. So, bad news. Oh, nobody wants to hear the bad news. So that's why it's very important to be able to speak about the bad news in a way that would be a little bit softened. See, not hardened. We failed, but softened. So we use the vocabulary for that. I am, or we're sorry to let you know. Of course, you can say we're afraid that, for example, I am afraid I am unable, or we are afraid we are unable. When you say we are unable, the flavor of the sentence, the emphasis of the sentence is a little bit different from the case when you say we can't. See, we can't do it. I'm afraid we're unable. Do you feel the difference? So, sorry, we can't do it. I'm afraid, or you can say unfortunately. Regrettably, in this case, these two words are the same. They are synonyms. Regrettably, unfortunately, we're sorry to say that we're unable to do something. See, you make it soft or softer. Another expression is we regret to inform. That's very typical. It's like we're pleased to inform, and the opposite is we regret. Mind the grammar. We are pleased. We delighted is wrong. We are delighted. We pleased is wrong. We are pleased to inform you, but we regret. So here we are pleased or delighted, the passive form, and we regret to inform you is the active form. Replies to requests for documentation. I have attached, I have enclosed, and please don't write I attached. It's not that, no, not the formal style, but probably the informal style. So this tense is called the present perfect tense, and yes, in the informal American English, this present perfect tense can be transformed into the past simple, that's it. But in formal sense, I have attached, and you see the result of this. I have attached, or I have enclosed, or as you requested, you will find the copy of the agreement attached. See, because of course you can write I'm attaching, or I'm going to give you a wrong example, an example that would be perfect to the mind and to the ears of a Ukrainian English learner. I attach. I attach a copy of the agreement. No. Probably I'm attaching. Even better, I have attached. Okay? Or you can find a copy of the agreement, what? Attached. Or enclosed. Well, this is very formal. I'm pleased to attach. See? I'm not only pleased to inform you, but I also am pleased to attach. So, first, let's say there's a situation where you need to make a number of attachments. Instead of making one or two, it can be probably 5 or 6, right? And you would like to explain what you're attaching. So if you say, as you request, you will find, and then you give 3 lines over here, and then say attached, that would be difficult to read. Here's what you do. Attached, you will find, and then a column, that's a column, and then you put all the attachments, the multiple attachments that you have to, that you attach to the email. All right, clarifying and confirming. Clarifying and confirming, one of those most important reasons to write an email. I'm a little confused, right? I don't know, I don't understand. Something different here. It's not I don't know, I don't understand. I'm a little confused. Again, that's the mastery of using the English language. See, you need to know the phrases. These phrases are called sentence starters. Sentence starters. That's what I told you about at the very beginning. So it's the etiquette, the formal, informal style, and basically what we're going through is sentence starters. Some nice phrases how you can begin your email. I'm not totally clear. I'm not totally clear. Instead of saying I do not understand, I have no idea, I'm not totally. You don't say I'm not clear. I'm not totally clear about or on something. I'm not sure what you mean when you say, I don't understand. No, I'm not sure. Nice phrase. Well, I have a query, a question, a request. I have a number of queries. This is a formal style. I have a number of queries concerning, regarding, with regard to, with reference to, in connection with, all those nice phrases. Now, here we have a question. Not just we have questions. So the most common problem with questions for Ukrainian English learners is the question structure. So you have to remember the question structure. We can't focus on the question structure right now, but if you start the sentence like this, you could just clarify a few points. This is wrong. It's could you, of course. You could clarify a few points. This is Ukrainian English. So could you clarify? And of course there's a difference between clarify and specify. Do you guys know the difference between specify and clarify? So for example, specify is to provide the exact something, the exact amount, the exact time, the exact information, the exact email. Clarify is simply to explain. So usually if it's a problem, you please clarify your problem, but you can't clarify an email. If you write, please clarify your email, that's strange. What do you mean clarify? How can I explain my email to you? So it's please. So for example, there's a list of emails, and you're asking the customer to specify the email that he or she wants you to reply to. So please specify, not clarify, of course. Right? Could you clarify? See, clarify, explain what you mean by. I would like to pay attention to this sentence. So if you start this sentence, could you clarify? And believe me, I've seen such sentences many, many times. if our Ukrainian customer support specialist start this sentence or begin writing, could you clarify, there's a very high chance they will make a grammar mistake. Why? Because they will say, could you please clarify what do you mean? You can't say what do you mean here. Why? Well, what do you mean is a good question. But if you put this question into another question, the question structure of this what do you mean question changes. It loses the auxiliary verb do. What do you mean? But could you please clarify what you mean? And of course, there's no mean under, which is the Ukrainian English in this case. What do you mean by? By. Mind. Do you know how to use the word mind? Of course, this is the mind, but there's also a verb, mind. A very nice verb. Would you mind? Now, people don't usually use this, especially Ukrainian English learners. Why? Because they don't know how to use it. So in reality, if you use the word mind, you have to use, see, the verb with the ing form. Do you mind opening the window, for example? In this case, I could say, do you mind? But I'm making it even more polite. And what do I use? Something we've already spoken about. Would. Would you mind? And of course, clarifying if or whether. These are synonyms. If and or whether. I would be grateful if you could confirm. This sentence structure and the following one, I would appreciate if you could confirm. These two sentence structures are very common. What is common between them? Would, I would if you could. I would if you could. Remember this. Very easy. I would if you could. I would if you could. I would be grateful. I would appreciate. If you could, and then you make your request. I would if you could. Very easy. Nothing difficult to remember. Apologizing, right? So, I would like to apologize. By the way, in the British English, it's not apologize. It's not the Z, it's the S. In the verb. I would like to apologize for something. Right. Something difficult? No. But the problem is with the preposition for. I apologize for miscommunicate. What's wrong? Grammar error. I apologize for the miscommunication, of course. I apologize for reschedule. No. For rescheduling. It's a very common error with the Ukrainian English learners that they put for plus some verb without the ing ending, but you have to do it. So I apologize for doing or not doing. See, I would like to apologize for not informing, but if you say I apologize for not informed, it's just a very typical grammar error, but you're not going to make it anymore. All right, I must apologize for, I must apologize. And please don't write I have to apologize. Because, see, there's a difference between must and have to. I'll explain the difference in simple terms. Must is the internal feeling of obligation. I must work harder. Yes, I want to reach my goals in life. I want to become a millionaire by the time I'm 30. I must work hard. Now, it's a totally different thing when your boss comes to you and says, sit at your workplace till 10 p.m. We've got an urgent issue. So you call your wife and you say, sorry, I have to. Now, if you say, I have to apologize, it's like somebody has told you, go and apologize. So I must. This is my internal motivation. I feel this internal obligation. I'm obliged from the inside to do it. Right? I do. Oh, you guys know this. Do. That's do. This is an auxiliary verb that you usually use in negatives. I don't like it. Or in questions. Do you like it? But here it's a statement. And the reason is to emphasize. Like I really apologize, but I really apologize is not from I do apologize. I do love you. I do want you to be happy. So I do apologize for, then please accept my apologies. And this is the place where Ukrainian English learners will make mistakes quite often. Why? Because they confuse apologize and apologies. So they can write, please accept my apologies. No, apologize. That's what they can write. And it's wrong. Apologize versus apologies. Apologies is a noun. Please accept my apologies. Don't say that, or don't write, please accept my apologize. All right, please accept my or our apologies for not, again, doing something. Apologizing. Well, giving assurance. Usually, after you apologize, what do? You make sure that this never happens again, right? I assure you. What is assuring? Another common mistake. I ensure you. So, what is ensure? It's E-N, sure? Ensure? No. You can't say I ensure you. You have to say I assure you. But you can say I ensure that. See? What is ensure? It's to make sure. You can't say I make you sure. No. I assure you. I assure you, but I ensure, or I will ensure that. See? I assure you that, but I ensure, without you, that. I would like to assure you that. I promise, I guarantee, which of course I do not recommend using, I promise, but who knows? Maybe you want to use that. I can give you my assurances. Another way of saying I assure you that. I can give you my assurances. Right? I will do my best to. We're doing our best to resolve. Oh, what about rectify? Do you know what rectify is? Rectify is the same thing as resolve, just another word. And you can say it's probably more advanced English. So rectify, resolve, correct. We're taking the necessary steps to. We're doing everything we can. That's a very common sentence, right? So you're giving assurance. You apologize, right? And then you give the assurance. All right. Now, not only apologizing is important, but also explaining. Something happened. Something, as they say, something went wrong. So the customer wants information, wants an explanation. How can you do it? For example, using those construction as something happened, or it was due to, happened because, happened as, or something was the result of. Let's say there was an electrical outage. The lights went out. So the servers were not working. So it was the result of. It was because of, and I need to make a special note over here. Are we good on time? Good. So because of is not the same thing as because. So, for example, if you say something happened because of an electrical outage. Because of, and then there's a noun phrase. But because the lights went out, that's a whole clause. What is a clause? Subject verb. Because, subject verb. Because of, only a noun phrase. There's no verb. Noun phrase. Two different things. Something was caused by, that's the passive form. Something was caused by. And of course, you can show sympathy. These are typical sentences. I would like to draw your attention to the verb, not the noun, but the verb inconvenience. Inconvenience is a noun, and it's also a verb. So, we hope you haven't been inconvenienced. Present perfect passive. This is for formal English. Formal, nice, formal English. We hope you haven't been inconvenienced by, and then you explain the reasons. Or we hope this hasn't, see the difference, passive versus active. We hope this hasn't inconvenienced you too much. Showing some sympathy. Suggestions and recommendations. When you make suggestions or recommendations, you know the word pitfall? Pitfall is a hidden danger. One of those risk zones for making a lot of grammar mistakes. I'll explain. So, a typical Ukrainian English sentence. See, I'm not saying English, Ukrainian English sentence. I suggest you to contact your web developer. This sentence is wrong, grammatically wrong. You can't say I suggest to contact or I suggest you to contact. It's all wrong. I suggest or recommend contacting. See? I suggest, in this case, it's the gerund form. So the verb plus ing. It would be wrong to say, I suggest to contact. It's simply against the rules of English grammar. So bad grammar. I suggest contacting. And bad grammar is outside the email etiquette. If you remember, what is email etiquette for? It's an email experience, a reputation, an opportunity. See, that's what the etiquette is. And a significant part of the etiquette is good grammar and spelling. So you've got to check it. I suggest, recommend that you should contact your web developer. This is the most formal way. This is neutral, nothing special. This is the most formal way. You put that you don't usually skip. You skip in conversation English, in everyday English, you skip that, but not in the formal English. And you add should. That's the complete form. But you can drop two words, that and should, and it will be something like this, less formal. I suggest, I recommend you contact. See? I suggest, I recommend you. But if you say, I suggest you to contact, you put to contact, I suggest you to, it's wrong already. So I suggest, I recommend, you skip that, you skip should. It will be less formal, but still within the business style. So for example, this is very common for American customer support interaction. I suggest you do something. All right. What about this sentence? I suggest, recommend your manager, and then you feel like using does it, right? Not do it. You might think it's a mistake. Your manager do it? Manager, third person singular, it's he or she, so your manager does it. But see, I suggest, I recommend that your manager should do it. And this modal verb should is simply skipped. And that's what is left of the sentence. And closing. Well, another typical area for making mistakes. A very, very common phrasal verb. That's a phrasal verb. Look is a verb. Look forward to, that's a phrasal verb. They're not just look, there are some other words together. So I look forward to, and they say what? I look forward to hear. I look forward to see. I look forward to meet. All of them, all these sentences are wrong. I look forward to hearing from you. See? To seeing you again. Or, for example, you can say, I'm looking forward to your reply. And there's no mistake. I'm looking forward to your reply. But if you want to use this nice expression, hear from, we're not talking about actually physical hearing. I'm looking forward to hearing from you means I'm looking forward to getting a message. Getting a message from you. And I look forward to, or I am looking forward to hear, both of these sentences are acceptable in terms of the tenses, the grammar tenses. Thank you for your assistance. And again, we would if you could. You would if you could. Closing. We would if you could. We would appreciate, that's a very common construct. We would appreciate if you could let us have this information as soon as possible. See, there's no a step. It's as soon as possible, all the words. Please could you confirm this by, and then there is a date. So if you wonder what preposition to use with deadlines, it's by. By the end of the week, by the end of the day, by the end of the month, by March 15th, by. See, by. Good. Suggesting further contact. So you're closing the email, but then what do? You leave an open what? Door. Right. You leave an open door, just like we remember at the very beginning of the presentation. We read an email with that door opened. Please call me if you have any questions or queries. Another expression is feel free. Very common expression. Feel free to email me if you have any questions or queries. Now, a more formal way to say if you have any questions is should you have any questions. Now, what's the difference? If you say if you have any questions, this is neutral. Now, but if you say should you have any questions, this sentence gives a feeling of lesser probability that something will go wrong. Like, I've done my job, I've done everything should work perfectly, but should this issue reoccur, so it's like this, if for some unknown reason this issue happens again, feel free to contact us. So, should this issue reoccur, it's like if for some reason, if something happens and you get this error again, do not hesitate, right? Do not hesitate. And by the way, you don't have to use contact all the time. There are many other words. Contact, get back to us, to reach out to us. All these are good phrasal verbs. Get back to us, reach out to us. So, what is the grammar point here? Have a look. You can't say to contact with us. This is the Ukrainian English. Contact with us. It's thank you for contacting us. You should contact your web developer. Contact us, but get back to us, reach out to us. Please contact me if you have any questions on this or any other matters. Nice phrase at the end. Please contact me if I can be of further assistance to you. A typical sentence for customer support. They can say, if I can help you further. Please contact me if I can help you further. Or, let's make it more formal. Let's put a better wrapper. You know what a wrapper? There's a candy, and there's a wrapper around the candy. Let's make a better wrapper for the candy. If I can be of further assistance, and where were you going to make a mistake? You will put for you. But it should be what? To you. See? I'm just paying attention to those details because I know I've read many sentences where people make mistakes in customer support direction. Okay, so closing remarks. Well, we're finishing the presentation. Proper email punctuation. So don't forget to put the stop here. Don't forget to do it. So it's called terminal punctuation, right? Well, exclamation mark is used very rarely. You know what an exclamation mark is. Now, see commas. Let's have a look at this slide. I like cooking my family and my pets. See? Use commas. Don't be a psycho. The problem is I like cooking, comma, my family, comma, and my pets. Now, I'd like to draw your attention that in the Ukrainian language, you would not put a comma here. So this is the Ukrainian punctuation. But in the English punctuation, see, you have to, I like cooking, comma, my family, comma, and my pets. Otherwise, you love cooking your family and your pets. All right. Punctuation saves lives. Let's eat grandma. What did I just say? Without the context, it's unknown. But a simple punctuation mark will decide or define the context. Let's eat grandma, or let's eat grandma. Punctuation saves lives. So there are rules of punctuation. Well, we cannot talk about it right now because it will take too much time, but I can make some remarks. For example, but. Yes, it should have a comma. But. See, some simple things. But should have a comma. Listen, see, and be silent, and you will live in peace. See, and when we're talking about a series of words. All right. Yes. Yes. No. See, there's a comma here. All right. If you know how to use those perfect gerund constructions, like having finally arrived in town, there's a comma. If you remember, there was a sentence. There was a sentence starter in one of those previous lines. After having seen your advertisement, then there's a comma. That's how you can make a reference. Separate parenthetical elements. So, well, competent, efficient worker, something close to our language. I like reading books, comma, listening to music, comma. Again, something close to our language. I saw that she was, so to avoid confusion, let's read this. This is important. It's something like, let's eat grandma. For most, the year is already finished. For most the year, people might, it sounds ambiguous. You're talking about the most part of the year, or for most of the people. So if you skip comma, the comma here, it will sound ambiguous. It means like it will have 2 different or 3 different meanings. Or I saw that she was busy and prepared to leave. See? What happens if I take away the comma? I saw that she was busy and I prepared to leave. See? Right? So, but when I say busy, comma, and prepared to leave, I'm talking about this series of words. See? In this case, it's about her. 1 comma. Very important. All right. And yeah, quotes. You guys know how to use quotes? So, he asked, comma. This is different from our Ukrainian and Russian punctuation. There's no colon here. Comma, and then you have the over here the quotes. The upper quotes. So, do you want to go with me? Comma, then the upper quotes, and you finish with the upper quote too. All right, reading punctuation. So, the most formal style is to say, dear Miss Frost. That's the most formal style. You can say, dear Miss Frost, and then put a comma. Now, hi, AJ. or Asia, and then there's a dash. That's too informal. It's possible. You might get emails like that, but it's very, very informal. All right. Of course, do not overuse question marks. So, for example, what's your status? Have you talked to your team yet? Are you free for a call tomorrow at noon so we can discuss any potential changes? You sound like a police officer. So do not overuse question marks. See? Gotta be smart with it. Of course you need to make questions. Of course, practice good grammar. You need to understand the difference between there, and there. See? You need to understand the difference. It's not about the style. Of course, if you make those mistakes, it can be seen that you probably are illiterate. Illiterate is someone who doesn't know grammar, or maybe you haven't checked, you haven't proofread. All right? It's and its. Do you know the difference between effect and effect? That's a noun, that's a verb. All right? Your, lose. What's loose, by the way? The monster is loose. Your shoestrings are loose. It's free. So the monster is loose, like the monster is somewhere there, lurking behind in the dark. All right, so mind prepositions. This prepositional mistake is so common. People say depend from all the time. There's no depend from. Right. So you can't say it's depend on. You can't say it's depend from. It depends on. It depends on. And just another example, listen. We have no preposition. In our language, we listen music. In English, we listen to. Listen to. Listen to. So that's what you have to remember. Listen to. Well, and misplacement of phrases. Let's have a look. In our language, whether Jack bought milk or milk bought Jack, which is wrong in English, everything is possible in our language. But here, in the English language, there's a structure. There's a structure. It's like Lego. So pieces should fit one another. The dealer sold the car to the buyer with the leather seats. So the leather seats. Where does this phrase belong? The car or the buyer? That's the misplacement of phrases. So the dealer sold the car with the leather seats to the buyer. See? That's how it works. All right. This is it. Our presentation is over. And if you have some questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You have your presentation.
Sure.